Read the Hayom Yom every single day. Hayom Yom is the first sefer that the Rebbe wrote. It's not just a sefer you put together a saying in every single day. But over the years, people realize how powerful it is and how much is hidden and we don't know. And therefore, at least we should say it, we should read it, and try to figure out how it applies to us every single day. What?
Hey.
Yaakov. Yellow or white?
Weißer.
White.
Second plate? Listen, salad. Wow. Listen.
About 30 years ago, there was this fellow, I believe he was in Montreal, a few days before Rosh Hashanah, he was involved in a terrible accident, and unfortunately he was hospitalized for close to 2 months. So he finally went home at the end of the month of Kislev, beginning of Kislev. And the first thing he did is he wrote to the Rebbe a letter, and he was in touch, of course, with the Rebbe guidance. And at this time he wrote to the Rebbe that what should he do? He feels like he missed out on the entire Rosh Hashanah, he missed out the entire, you spelled it out, I missed out the whole Yom Kippur, the whole Sukkot and Chaseda. What people usually can achieve and gain in those days, in those times, I wasn't available, I couldn't, it wasn't possible for me. So he felt like there was so much that he could have accomplished Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur through Tshuva, through being in shul, through davening, and it didn't happen. So what should he do? He asked the Rebbe. So the Rebbe answered him that well, in a few weeks, Chof Kislev is coming up. Rosh Hashanah for Chassidus. So whatever you missed, whatever you thought you can accomplish on Rosh Hashanah, in Kippur, Sukkot, Chol Hamoed, Shmini Atzeres, Simchas Torah, you can accomplish on Chof Kislev. Just to gives us a little bit of an idea as Chassidim, what it means, how great this day is, as my brother mentioned before, that the Alter Rebbe says that anybody who participates in rejoicing in my simcha, I will be there for them. Now the different, till by the time we got the exact lashon, some say that I will pull you out of wherever addiction you have. Some say that that you will have nachas from your children. I guess if you don't have children, you will have children because you should have nachas from them. And the Frierdiker Rebbe I saw added here a very interesting thing. The name of his father, the Rebbe Rashab, that he wrote that not only rejoicing, you don't say tachnun on that day because it's Chof Kislev. It's also an expression of you partaking in the simcha. Although, says the Frierdiker Rebbe, he didn't say tachnun Yud Zayin and Ches Yates either. I'm not exactly sure what he said. But the fact is that today you didn't say tachnun. Today you didn't say tachnun. It shows that you didn't say it because you're part of the simcha. You didn't say it in the last 5 years, so that's nothing to do with it. But today you didn't say it because it's Chof Kislev. Boom. You're part of the action, you're part of the bracha, you're part of everything. So l'chaim. It's not a very simple, a little event that happens in the calendar of the Chassidim. It's a very powerful day, it's a strong day. It's a day that the Alter Rebbe writes here in the Yom Yom. It's a day that is the first Yom Yom of Chof Kislev, that we make a Farbrengen, we get together, and the purpose of the Farbrengen is a twofold. first of all, to unite all the Hasidim together, to encourage us and increase our unity in our achdus, and to take upon ourselves achlotas, resolutions that we need to do and add in learning in Hasidus and acting like a Hasid, partaking in Farbrengen, that in itself, encouraging one another in a positive way. Now, the Yom Yom, as my brother had mentioned, was written by the Rebbe, his first sefer, still in the days of the Frierdiker Rebbe. And it's a sefer that perhaps goes sometimes unnoticed. It seems to be simple, yet there's a lot of depth in it, and it's like an ocean. Once you start, you see how deep it is, and you don't see any end. There's a chassid here in Crown Heights. His name is Rabbi Zellickson. I'm sure you all know him. Paul, yeah. Paul's a very good friend of mine, and he told me how many years ago he decided to dedicate his work to the Yom Yom. He noticed that there's some things on Yom Yom. There's got to be a connection. What does it have to do with the day? What does it have to do with here? What is that? Sometimes here during Shabbos we try to put something together. I can't even tell you how far we are from what's going on, but there was one time that he had difficulty in one thing, and he asked the Rebbe, and the Rebbe replied to him, toil in it, and toil, and you will find. The Rebbe didn't give him the answer. It's there. Keep on working. So he started putting something together that he thought he wants to write a sefer, perhaps, on explanations on the Yom Yom. So as he was doing his research, he found out that the Rebbe has his own personal Yom Yom that the Rebbe wrote on it notes. The Rebbe wrote notes on the side there, some notes. And he thought that would be something that he could really use in order to help his work. The Rebbe's notes on the Yom Yom. So he did a little research, investigating, and of course, when he approached the secretaries, he was immediately shrugged off. We're busy. And he tried to find out where the Yom Yom is. Is it in Rebbe's room? Is it in Rebbe's house? So he asked Rabbi Groner if he would ask the Rebbe if he can borrow his Yom Yom for a day.
We're talking before the bed.
Yeah. If he can borrow the Yom Yom for a day, just to make some copies, just to do a little work. Rabbi Groner threw him out of the office. Are you out of your mind? I will give you the Yom Yom. I'm not even asking that question. So, but he was persistent. Whoever knows I doesn't give up. Yeah, I know him for many years. He was my learning teacher back in 1972 in Detroit, in the camp. Real Chassidish guy. So he was the first person that I've ever seen daven Shabbos afternoon, 6 hours. As a young boy, you hear about it, but you actually see somebody daven for 6 hours. He used to go into a side room and he used to daven for hours and hours and hours. And I used to come and sneak in just to see if he's still there, if he's still davening, and try to listen in to what's going on. Anyway, so we became good friends. So he decided he's going to ask the Rebbe directly. Smart. He writes a letter, he gives it to Rabbi Klein, doesn't give it to Rabbi Groner, and he asked the Rebbe. He heard that the Rebbe has a Yom Yom with notes, and he's doing a lot of work on the Yom Yom. Perhaps the Rebbe wouldn't mind if I just looked at it and borrowed it and made some copies for the day. So he gets an answer, and the answer comes through Rabbi Groner.
Rebbe knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Rabbi Groner walks in and then hands him the answer. Give it to Zellickson. Rabbi Groner didn't know what to say. And the answer was that the Rebbe said that yes, I do have. Yes, I wouldn't mind giving it to you. But it's at home, and I'm not sure I have to find it. That's what the Rebbe answers him. This lunch. So he doesn't give up. He calls up Chesed Albershtam, one of the Albershams, who was then working in the Rebbe's house, and he said, go into the Rebbe's library and do me a favor and find the Hayom Yom. Find it, look for it. The Rebbe says it's there, but he's not sure where. Go find it. So she says, give me a couple days. And he says the Rebbe was okay with it. You know, it's not something don't worry about. You're not going to get into trouble. It's good. So a couple days later, he says, yeah, I found it. Of course, don't touch it. He says, tell me where it is. He says, it's in the basement, or it's on in the middle of the bookshelf, the third shelf to the left side under this and this thing. It's exactly described to him exactly where it is. So Michal Zelkson writes to the Rebbe that the Rebbe did not know exactly where it was, and he didn't expect the Rebbe to start looking for it. The Rebbe was very busy, so he asked Al Bishtam. He writes everything to the Rebbe to see if he can find it, and he did locate it. And it's exactly, and he describes to the Rebbe, I don't know if he made a diagram or not, but he describes to the Rebbe exactly where it is on the third shelf, between this and the Sefer, there it is. He's waiting for an answer. The next day, Rabbi Roner calls him in. He thought he had an answer. So it was the Hayom Yom. The Rebbe went, brought him the Hayom Yom, and the condition was that he has to return it that afternoon, that night. So he made copies of it. And in one of the prints of Hayom Yom, they have copies of this of the Rebbe's Hayom. I have it at home. It was available for a while. I'm not sure if you can still buy it. But for example, the notes of the Rebbe was that in the introduction of the Hayom Yom, where it's just interesting to me, just a little note here that in Tanya we start with the Akdama, and Hayom Yom usually we don't start with the Akdama, but there are different notes that were on the Akdama, and I thought I would like make this the Akdama of the Hayom Yom, the introduction. So, for example, it says that the Rabbeim come from the house of David, King David. How do we know that? I mean, today I think they have maps, and they have this and that, and I think you had on your site, Brian, right, going back to Adam Arishon or something, going back from the Rebbe way back till, yeah, okay, anyway, so it says there that we know the lineage from the Alter Rebbe and the Maharal Miprag, which I was at his caver a few months ago in Prague.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there.
Who weren't the Maharal?
What? In Maharal Miprag. And the Rebbe wrote a note. Yeah. And the Rebbe wrote on the notes that, and the Maharal Miprag, we know comes from the house of David. How do we know that? It's a known fact. I mean, how do we know that? So the Rebbe wrote, that's what it says on his tombstone. That's what the Rebbe wrote. And that's what it says on his tombstone. He comes from the house of David. So we know as a fact that the Rabbeim come from Machus Bizot.
So that is Ben 82?
I definitely.
What's it say on his?
Ah, you didn't
My
know.
wife's grandmother.
You didn't know.
My wife's grandmother, huh?
You didn't know.
Yeah, but I'm just kidding. My mother told me that. I know it's just from the
The
garden.
Gillen is upstairs.
All the Garabis come from the Maharal. So the other thing that the Rebbe wrote was the year in Hebrew that the Hayom Yom originally covered was the year was 1943 to 1944. In Hebrew, that would be the equivalent of Tavshin Gimel and Tavshin Dal, right? However, it's not printed like that. It's printed Tavshin Gimel, Tav Dalet Shin. Right? Tavshin Gimel, Tav Dalet Shin. Here, this is the way it's printed. Here we have it in the front and in the front page. And the Rebbe has a note up there as well. And the Rebbe said, writes in the note, I don't remember exact words, that I asked my father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, why did he do it that way? The Frierdiker Rebbe changed the letters Tav Shin Dalet to Tav Dalet Shin. And he said to him, maybe the meaning of it was, it's not the best, nicest meaning, whatever, but it's not what the Frierdiker Rebbe said. The Frierdiker Rebbe answered him, and that's what the Rebbe wrote, when the time will come, you'll understand.
Everybody
What?
will.
It's in the,
What?
It's in
Oh,
the
so then they have it for Hol
it's the original one.
Yeah, but it's not, we didn't know that before we saw the Rebbe's notes. So the Rebbe wrote there that my father-in-law said that will come, everybody will understand. I'm not sure what.
Has the time
what
come yet?
Huh?
Do you understand?
I don't understand, so I'm not
No,
sure.
time didn't come yet.
That may not be everybody.
You're everybody.
Okay, so anyway, at the end, the last, usually when you make a siyum, you finish off from the last and start from the beginning. And, as I was looking at it, I mean, it's usually, the one who does the Siyum Shas has an easier job, because every year he has a different, Masechta that perhaps they can talk about, but the Yom Yom is a Yom Yom, it's the same thing as last year. So, I was thinking that why would I Yom Yom start? Why would I Yom Yom start at Chof Kislev? The Tanya starts at Chof Kislev, we understand. Oh, you have that?
You said on the table, by the way, when you brought, what you just mentioned, that it is, you put the David Melon?
I have a picture of it.
You have it here?
Oh, yeah, okay.
We don't know yet. No, it's written right in.
This is the Rebbe's writing on his Yom Yom. Huh? It's in Yiddish, and it said, in Hebrew it said, V'loi tav shin dalet, right? And not tav shin dalet. Al piksivi koifuvus moin v'chami adenei. This I did by the order of my father-in-law. And he said, as it kum and dit Zeit, dann alle verstehen. When the time will come, all will understand. So this is the actual, Michal Zelgson got this from the Rebbe, and he made copies of it.
So you say there's copies that has all his notes?
I didn't see all his notes, no. No, he didn't, I don't have a Yom Yom with all the notes. Some of them.
Copy the order.
No, there was a Yom
Oh,
Yom
this
that
one.
was printed like,
Okay.
with more, a little more.
One
notes.
of them, yes, were printed with many of the notes.
Yes, and that was a one-time print, so that was a one-time, and the notes were gotten from the Rebbe gave it out. Anyway, so I was thinking that, the last Yom Yom is a quote from the Tzemach Tzedek, as we all know. And last year we spoke about, the quote of the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek refers to the ultimate level of love to Hashem as one that one desires, not something like an even reward or whatever, that he desires only Hashem himself. And like my grandfather, the Alter Rebbe would say often that I don't want anything, I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your Adam Haba, I only want. Now, I once saw written that the Tzemach Tzedek once said that as a little boy, since he was a little boy, he remembers that the Alter Rebbe would start davening every morning exactly 7:45. At exactly 7:45 every single morning, he would start davening. However, he would put on his talis and tefillin an hour before, and by 7:45, by 6:45, 6:45, he would sit down with his talis and tefillin, and sit there, and all of a sudden, as if he went to a different world. He wasn't just, you couldn't even, you wouldn't feel your presence, you can walk in, make noise, for 1 hour exactly, till 7:45, every single morning at 7:45, he woke up, and he said, I don't want anything, I just want you, Hashem, I just want to do it. And this is the ultimate level of what we have, like we spoke about last year, in the Yom of the 14th day of Kislev, and that was the anniversary, that the different levels of a chassid, and this one level is that you feel that you have, that Gashmis does not distract you at all. I was looking just out of curiosity, that why don't we start the Yom Yom on Rosh Hashanah? I'm just right, at the beginning of the year, why would we start Tanya, I understand, because Tanya is an Rosh Hashanah Chassidus, but the Ayom Yom could have started really, could have started either way. Could have started Rosh Hashanah, could have started Rosh Hashanah Chassidus. And by looking at it, the day before Rosh Hashanah, Erev Rosh Hashanah, is also about the Tzemach Tzedek and a quote of the Alter Rebbe. Just a coincidence. I can't exactly tell you what the connection is here, but it says that the Erev Rosh Hashanah is the Tzemach Tzedek's birthday, and the quote from the Alter Rebbe is that if the Alter Rebbe would say that we have no comprehension how dearly God cherishes the body of the Jew. And it's like very similar to the last the Erev Rosh Hashanah of Chassidus, where you have a quote from the Tzemach Tzedek, and he quotes the Alter Rebbe, and here it's about the Tzemach Tzedek, and not that he quotes it doesn't say that he quoted the Alter Rebbe, it's just a quote from the Alter Rebbe. And that's what that it concludes, and we start with the Chof Kislev one, where the saying that the Shliach Tzibur, a chazan should not wear a talus when he's going to the Amid, Mincha or Meir, not Shabbos, not Yom Tov, not Rosh Hashanah. So just as a note that sometimes we have, often when the days are short, we have a side minyan, a mincha right after davening. And a lot of people come in with their talisim to daven mincha, right? So somebody had mentioned to me, aren't you supposed to not daven with a talis? Okay, now, so this question is already asked and challenged and questioned. What does it mean exactly?
That doesn't mean to remove the talus when you bring it.
No, so, what?
What does it say exactly in Lashon Kodesh? What does it say?
No, so one second. So first of all, it says the chaz.
Talking about
It says the
the
chaz. It says the chaz, ein hashliach tzidus v'sativ v'talis, lemincha or lemayriv, loy l'shabbos, v'yontav, loy b'rosh Hashanah.
Mitzativ,
He's wearing it from before.
What?
He don't put, some people dafka put it on.
Okay, so I can tell you that some people, somebody came to me and said to me, I was wearing my talis while I was davening. I've never seen anybody take off his talis. Perhaps he would put on a hat instead of having it as if you're still wearing a talis, a batifa. There was one person told me, again, I'm not telling you the halacha on this or not.
Motzi Yom Kippur, you
wear a hat.
You put the
You wear a
hat
hat
on.
on.
But the talus is still.
You wear a hat on may be different, because I know somebody, a shliach, had told me that, again, I'm not 100% sure, you should ask your Rav, that he was davening in a shul, they insisted that he wears a talus and mincha and Meir. What should I do? It says we shouldn't. So the Rav told him, Lubavitcher Rav, just wear it on your shoulders with a hat. And that would not be considered atifa, that would not be considered covering yourself totally. But however, in the English translation here, it says that one should not wear a talus. It doesn't say cover your head or not covering your head. In Hebrew, it's misatif. Misatif is the same as covering?
So much people have said in the past that it was because the minhag is in the belt Friday and this to Kabbalah Shabbos
Right.
speaking. Huh?
So anyway, the custom on
That's
this.
what I heard when I wrote it.
Yeah, if you ever have this situation, ask the Rav, Chassidish Rav, how he understands this. But
Sukkot Monday, and then the davening 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Shabbos Mincha was right after the house.
and with a hat or without a hat?
And then
werd er vaak in de
Because the
He
Yidden
wasn't the
not
chazan.
learning.
It says in a
I understand, it wasn't the chazan.
Yeah, if you're not the
Right there.
chazan, it's a different thing.
No hat.
It says ein hashliach tzibur misatif. That means everybody else looks like a can.
That's what Masat means to put it on. If it's on it,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just discussing it. I'm not.
Who decided that it's telling you that you shouldn't be wearing one?
I don't know.
It's
What-
saying,
it
the
says here,
belt says that you
misatif.
have to put one on, so you don't have to put
So
one on.
if you're wearing one, you could daven mincha? Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't say that
Yes,
you're not
okay.
allowed
How
to
did
be
you,
in
how,
town.
yeah, how do you medayik from there that not?
I know
Misated needs to be misated.
when we had
If
the
you're going to a
substitute
shul and you're
the
davening
pay
with
was,
they want you to
pillars.
and they want you to daven.
They would fight
Their
the-
minhag is to daven with a talis. You'll just keep your talis on, and you're saying it's not under this problem. Because according to the reasons they're given is that it's a
The question is,
sakana.
that says somewhere.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
says somewhere, yeah, it says somewhere that it's
But
a
I think
bullet,
that's,
it's
I
not
think that's,
sakana.
but that's on your head.
What?
I think that's what the head covers.
Okay, so I don't know if what you're saying, that if you're wearing it anyway, is good enough. I don't know, I'm not saying you what the law is, I'm just saying, we're just discussing here what this means. And I daven very often as a chazan here, and I come from Shabbos. A few people have mentioned to me, maybe you should. So I make sure to wear my hat.
Go ahead, no?
I make sure to wear a hat, because it says here, Ein hashliach tzibur, that means other people probably may. The chazan should not. I don't think other people have an issue
What
with it.
happens, guys, if I bring the whole Shabbos and you see them walking home like
It's a challenge for everybody.
I have to tell you,
They take it off and put it back on, they keep it
I
on.
have to tell you,
But that's
better, you're
the
talking about
question.
that.
That is for
My son was
everybody.
born, on Shmini Atzeres, when it was Thursday, Friday, and he was born Thursday, Friday night. I made Shalom Zacha, was Friday night.
Yes, bro, them Veronicas
And
not
people
only the
came to my Shalom
chazan,
Zacha with them talais.
not only the
I think it was the only Shalom Zacha that you saw people coming with talais. By
the way, Jason,
like a whole group of people are walking in with a talais.
Skip
Shalom
it by
Zacha.
mind, everybody puts
Yeah,
their
that's
hand.
like- It was a very cute sight, you know, so it was fine, and they were wearing their hats, so I was okay with that. But bottom line is that it's
Right.
what
So that's
I
why
want
for
sure that the
things,
reason
for
it's
other
not
people, it's not an
sakana, there's
issue,
a
it's just
danger to it according to Kabbalah. It's not just simply it's a certain sakana danger to it, and again, I'm not
Yeah, but
familiar with
Parshas
it.
is for everybody.
What?
It's just that who else is gonna put on a talus and by Mincha
So what if you're
Ma'ariv?
wearing one? Should you take it off?
In normal
I
things,
don't
this
know.
doesn't happen. By us,
If
it
you think that
happens.
so tell us. If you're wearing one, you can
In the
continue
Velt,
wearing
it doesn't happen.
Yeah, the problem is that putting it
The
on.
problem is with the head. The problem is to have your head covered.
So that's what I'm saying, but in translation, it doesn't say atif, it's just not to wear one. But again, I'm not
That's a
having
big
time.
question, we went through the button back and forth, it wasn't,
What did they say?
all these diyunim that I'm telling you, these are all.
I'm not sure, there needs somebody at all who can really give you an authority to tell you that this is what he meant, or not what he meant. I'm not sure, so I'm just bringing it up as for discussion, that because I doubt my chazan here quite often for Mincha, you know, and people have mentioned to me, I come straight from Without so I just make sure to wear a hat. I make sure to wear my hat. Does it apply to everybody else? I'm not sure. Does it apply to only the chazan? It definitely says the chazan. Ain't actually a tzibur. If you're wearing one, can you continue? I don't know. So I'm just telling you that this is something.
What does it say?
Yeah.
No, just read it.
Ein hashliach tzibur misatev b'talis lemincha oy lemayrev loy l'shabbos v'yontev loy l'rosh Hashanah. So, and with no reason, but I've heard from some people.
That's how people.
Anyway, it continues, as we know, we celebrate the Chof Kislev, the letter from the Alter Rebbe, that this is a day that, just my own translation here, the day of Chof Kislev is the day that the Alter Rebbe says that when he read the pasuk, Potav V'Shalom Nafshi, when he came to the letters, Potav V'Shalom Nafshi, that's when he was immediately notified and released immediately by Hashem Shalom. L'chaim, 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 we should, as we conclude that Yom Yom, we should start again and again, and as the Rebbe said to Rabbi Zellickson, you have to fachba, you toil and toil and toil, and you will find, you'll work hard, and you will find in every Yom Yom, eventually, if you're really interested, if you're really eager, you'll find so many stories of the Yom Yom. We're the first story, as we know, when the Rebbe printed the Yom Yom, he sent a copy to his brother in Israel, and when his brother, who lived at that time, got the Yom Yom and read it and ran around from shul to shul and saying, he was so amazed, he was so excited, he says, I knew my brother was smart, but so intrigued, such a genius I didn't realize, I didn't imagine. I mean, so we're looking at Yom Yom. He looked at it with a different eyes. He looked at it with different knowledge. He looked at it and he saw everything blended in and everything connected, and everything was about learning something so important. Shouldn't it be like the first day of the Omer? Like, this is our minute. I only find out about it when I'm in the middle of the month of the year to find out that this is a custom. So I went to Michal. I said, what do you think?
That's the main thing.
What do you think? I mean, how do you explain this? He says, it's not what you think by Yom Yom. It's that it gives you. Yes, sometimes when you look before Yom Tov, you must look at the day before. You must look a day ahead. At least in Yom Yom, what the customs are with this. But not necessarily is it in an order that it tells you because it's today.
Does he explain why during the Omer, he explains us to do Sota like on the 26th, second day?
That's what he was
Yeah,
saying.
no,
I
he
wasn't-
can explain it. He had some explanation. Not only that, when I saw him a couple of weeks ago, he had a whole different theory how it's connected to the portion of the week, to the day he has. I mean, his life is a Yom Yom.
Look, even let's say it's the Manishkan and these things, it's not explained to you Dalit. It's from the Zayit. It's after the first.
After the fact, so you definitely have to look ahead, but it's within a day or two. But here, this is like totally weeks later. So if you didn't know about it, you have a lot to catch up. So that's not fair.
So what's the answer? What are the
I don't
answers?
know. His answer is that it's not a Yom
Ask a
Yom.
question.
He told me, I didn't get the answer. I don't know
He said the
He
22nd
says
day?
what you should get ready for
22nd?
next year. Come next year. Erev Pesach, you should know that you have to start.
The bottom line is that it ever had nachas from a person taking the Rebbe's work and paying attention and working at it. The greatest nachas from the Rebbe, I once heard that there was this person, let me just take a quick look, 22nd? No?
28th?
28th? I don't think it was that far. No? No. So the Rebbe once, the Rebbe, there was a sikha printed in volume 14 or something, and this person was learning the sikha, and it referred to something in the second volume of the Chutz Sichas. And this guy looked up the Chutz Sichas and saw a contradiction, that in the footnotes, in the notes, the Rebbe writes something different in volume 2 and in volume 15 or 14. So he writes to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe answers him back, that the Rebbe says that I'm waiting already so many years for somebody to pick up on it, that there was a mistake in the print there. The Rebbe says, I'm waiting there from volume 2 to volume 14, there was nobody even bothered looking at it. The Rebbe sometimes said, I print and write, nobody's even bothered looking at it. Finally, I have somebody who I'm waiting so many years, that was a mistake in that print. But the Rebbe has to go, not only does he have to be the one writing it and editing it and getting this, also correcting the print. And the Rebbe said, I'm finally waiting, Baruch Hashem. You know, it's a mazel tov. So the Rebbe wants us to when there's a sikha that comes out, or a svadas that comes out, something new, a new mimer, something fresh, something in English printed, something new. The Rebbe wants us, the first thing is grab it. Like we're thirsty for it. Chassidus, this is something new, and toil and work and understand. And if you don't understand, ask and ask. The Rebbe showed us. I remember we were some students in yeshiva, and we had this thing that we used to print questions on the sichas. Used to print it, and the Rebbe enjoyed it, loved it. We used to bring it with him in shul during davening. And at a certain time, there was going on during Farbrengens, would discuss certain questions that were asked. And the Rebbe, you would think, oh, you were asking a question on the Rebbe, Sikha, how dare you? The Rebbe wanted it. The Rebbe wanted it, enjoyed it, appreciated it. The Rebbe sees the Chassidim, and they're talking about it, they're thinking about it, and working on it. And this is what the Rebbe's wish, the Rebbe's life was put into the Rebbe's work. We know a tzaddik is like the Rebbe says, the Eibishter put himself in his work, in his Torah. A tzaddik puts himself in his Maimarim. A tzaddik puts himself in his sichas. If you want the Rebbe, he's in the Maimarim, he's in the sichas. That's where he is. He's in there Yom Yom. He's right there.
22nd of the Omer.
22nd
Of the Omer.
of the Yomer. Oh, not of the month of Iyar, of the Yomer. What day of the month is that?
7th. Gemora, Gavur, 7th verse.
In what day of the month of Iyar?
7.
So the 22nd day of the Omer, it tells you about having. So I don't know the explanation, L'chaim. So the first thing is that finish that you What? You know, this person once wrote to the Rebbe that I have it's like a week to get this Kislev, and I have so much to cover on my government, and I took upon myself and I didn't finish. What can I do? And he was hoping the Rebbe would say, I'll do it for you, or I'll get somebody to do it. And so the Rebbe answers him back, you know what? So do it at least with Rashi and Tosfos. Do it only with Rashi and Tosfos, and 2 commentaries on the side. Okay, I'll let you get away with that. Just only with Rashi and Tosfos. In other words, the Rebbe expects you to do shiny and then sit there and learn like a mensch every day and understand that you're a little rushed, you're short in time, you have to catch up. Okay, so Rashi and Tosfos only. L'chaim. The bottom line is, it's not how much we accomplish, is that our life should be the Rebbe's learning, the Rebbe's Titus, what the Rebbe says, and that should be our life. L'chaim.
Just like that, Rabbi Reichik just printed that in the 60s, late 60s, so there was some Bachim pushing themselves in the previous Rebbe's sukkah. Because every Yantiv, the Rebbe used to eat together with his mother-in-law upstairs. So there was a Bachim pushing, the Rebbe asked him, why are you pushing? Are you versed in the Hayom Yom? Do you know Hayom Yom by heart? How could you go ahead and push? And then there was another time that the Rebbe asked, what was the Maimanim that Abbeim used to say in order to purify the air? So nobody said, everybody's quiet. So then all of a sudden Rabbi Reichik started quoting what it says in Hayom Yom. That this Rebbe said this, and the Rebbe looked at him and gave him the biggest smile that there was ever, he gave to the Rebbe. The Rebbe appreciated that he quoted. Where did he quote from? He quoted from Hayom Yom.
Which day is this in?
Chof Kislev.
Thomas.
At least you should know where it says which Maimanim you should say. You have to know. Same song.
I'm not happy about the accent. I'm happy you made it here.
Thank you.
I wish we would have brought you here.
That's what I mean.
Learning never ends. And the Rebbe always shows what? How learning
The Rebbe is the one who did.
how
When he was in camp,
yeah.
he heard the announcement, learning class are over, this and it's never over. So that's when they started learning never ends.
Learning never ends.
They stopped saying it?
No, that's when they started saying learning never ends.
They stopped saying
Yeah.
it.
Yes, yes.
Right. So what does mean learning never ends? So if you just
Only
finish,
has one
completed, that's when you complete Masechta, you complete a book, a Tanya, or a Yom Yom. So what does it mean learning never ends? You just finished. You just ended. The Rebbe says no. There must be a connection between the end and the beginning, and the beginning and the end. And it's a cycle, and you have to continue studying. And next level, next time you learn, you have to delve into it a little bit more to see what you missed the first time. So basic, one thought that the Rebbe said, what's the connection between the beginning and the end? Then we just finished yesterday about the last chapter, Tanya, talks about you have to davening slow. It talks about learning a Masechta, talks about saying Tehillim, and then last part talks about keeping Shabbos. That's what it says. And you should know the laws of Shabbos. On Shabbos, you should make sure. What's the connection with the beginning? The beginning starts that this is a Sefer Shel Ben-Oni. It's a Sefer for Ben-Oni, which every single year there's a Ben-Oni. And this Sefer was compiled from different Svarim, and basically referring to the Baal Shem Tov, the Magid, also the Rambam, the Maral Prague. And he brings a pasuk. It says, because it's close to every single one of us. In other words, whatever we do, we have to continuously talk about it. It's the matter. You have to think about it. You have to take action. What mitzvah do we see that we take action, we talk about it at all times? One of the mitzvahs is mitzvah Shabbos. We know that we see every single day, davening, song of the day. What do we say? We don't say this is the second day of the week. We say the second Yom Rishon from Shabbos. This is the first day, second day. Every single day we say it's connected to Shabbos. So just like we spell it out that this is the first day of the week of the Shabbos, second day of the week, third day of the week. Same thing, every single mitzvah, everything that we do, we have to spell it out. The Rebbe says like this. First of all, there's a story that what's so special that we talk about Shabbos the whole week. The story is brought down in the Talmud. There's once a Tana, he went to visit his student. And his student honored him, brought him a gold table that has the weight of 16 people, which is a nice couple of pounds. And on the table was decorated with all kind of expensive, cups and cutlery and plates and all kind of foods. And after they ate, this Tana asked the student, how did this all come about? How did you get so wealthy?
How did you get so?
Wealthy. He knew him years ago, he knew him as a regular, simple butcher. He was a butcher. So from selling pieces of meat or chicken, that's how he became so rich. So he said that every single time when I got a nice piece of meat, I said, this is what I'm going to eat for Shabbos. And every single day of the week, what was he doing? He was preparing for Shabbos. And he says, this is the schus that he has, that eventually, they should made, because of Shabbos, that he was blessed with such great wealth. So this teacher gave him a kiss on his head, and he says, you should be blessed, and everybody should learn from him. So just by saying words, that every single day, there's a day that we are going to prepare for Shabbos. When we see something nice, we'll buy it for Shabbos. And the next day, if you see something nicer, we'll keep that as well for Shabbos. And so on and so forth. This is a blessing. This is basically a key to success for every single one of us, that we're blessed with unlimited blessings, physical blessings. Now, the Baal Shem Tov, one of the first things that he did as a teacher's helper, which is in Yiddish called a behelfer. When the Baal Shem Tov, before he became known as this big tzaddik, this big miracle worker, he worked as a simple person, and the only job that he could take is being a helper in a teacher's assistant in a school. And what he did was, he made sure he went out of his way that children should always say, Baruch Hashem, thank God, Be'ezus Hashem, with the help of God, Yimirtz Hashem. And this, by saying these words, this is how every single one of us, every single child, and every single one of us will continuously think about the Eibishter. And when we think about the Eibishter, this in itself being success. And this is what the Alter Rebbe is saying. This is what the Rebbe says. The Alter Rebbe is hinting to us. The connection between Shabbos and the beginning of the Tanya is that the same thing with Chassidus. What's the whole idea of Chassidus? The Rebbe says like this, that there's one time someone gave the Alter Rebbe a gift. He gave him a silver snuff box, a gold snuff box.
A silver?
Silver snuff box. And Alter Rebbe says that there's one part of the body that has no taiva, has no desire for anything outside. You want to bring desire to it. In other words, you want to make. I should buy some special sniff and smell it all the time. So it says that the Alter Rebbe, what he did was he used it. He took off the cover and he used it as a mirror to make sure his tefillin are straight. So somebody was once, they were talking about the story that someone gave a gift and the Alter Rebbe broke it and he used it as a cover for tefillin. So Tzemach Tzedek immediately stopped him. I told him that my grandfather never ever broke anything. Never broke anything. What he did was, he took out the pin, the wire, and he took it out and he used it as a mirror. What's the whole idea of a mirror to straighten the tefillin? The whole idea of tefillin is when we put on tefillin, we put on the tefillin shayad, which is on the hand, the same level as the heart. We put it on the head. Is that our life, when we daven, especially when we daven, should be focused completely on godliness, completely on the Eibishter. So in other words, the life of the Alter Rebbe, the whole idea of Chassidus is, God forbid, not to break anything, but what we do is to show how we could straighten up, make sure the tefillin are straight, every single one of us, and our focus should be on one thing, is on godliness and on the Eibishter. This is what Chassidus is all about. This is what the Alter Rebbe is all about. And this is the key for unlimited blessings, and this is why there was so much opposition to the Alter Rebbe, to the teachings of Chassidus, because by the teachings of Chassidus, it shows us how we can be focused at all times. And once we're focused, the blessings are unlimited. Physical blessings, spiritual blessings. And like the Rebbe says, that we are the last generation of exile, and the Mitzvah will be the first generation of Geula, redemption. We should merit for that uniquely now, because it's high time. When the Rebbe said the Sikha, the Rebbe said it many years ago, and since then we accomplished so much, and there's no reason why we're still in Golos. We have to say L'chaim, L'chaim. The honor of Chof Kislev, we can ask and we can demand whatever we want, we need. We want to see the Rebbe lead us out from this Golos and meet him.
Amen.
Het bent jene parsha, Yankiv gezocht. Jeder Yankiv neder. Was ze gewend zijn neder. Leime mir lekimi modi. Zogni mitzvah
Exactly.
jeder Yankiv neder. Leime mir zogni mitzvah.
Be'ezus Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
Chaim l'chaim.
The battle.
And this is, these words are so powerful. These simple words of Baruch Hashem, Be'ezus Hashem, overweighs everything else. Because that's then the whole world sees that we're godly people. Godly people, once we connect to godliness, it's unlimited. There's no limitation for whatever we do. Not only that, but it's amazing. You think about it. There's two brothers, two holy tzaddikim. One was Rav Shmelka in Nikolsburg, and his brother, Rav Pinchas. Rav Shmelka in Nikolsburg, we know there's stories that he was L'chaim Mason. L'chaim Mason means he brought people who died, he brought them back alive. So before he left is designated to be the Rav of Nikolsburg, so they left the Mizitcha Market, and they asked him for a blessing. And they had two questions. One, an explanation, they needed an explanation, the Zohar and Kabbalah. And the second explanation is, what's the greatness of the Alter Rebbe? What's so special about him? They realize that there's something special about him. They realize that he is the youngest of the students. And they realize there's something special, like the Rabbi Mendel said, that we all ate from the same pot of soup. But he took the real deal from the soup. We just took the water. He took the vegetables. He took the meat and everything. So they asked, what's so special about that? What's so special about that Rebbe? So the Mizitcha Market said, the explanation on the Zohar, no problem, I'll give you. The explanation on the Alter Rebbe, I can't give you. That's beyond explanations. So whatever the Alter Rebbe has, he's trickling it down to every single one of us. So we have to realize what chus we have to be Chassidim of the Rebbe, Chassidim of the Rebbe, to the Rebbe Malmakim from the Alter Rebbe. So we have to realize how good is our lot, and how we have to take this opportunity. We have to take advantage of what we are, who we are, and especially in a day like Chof Kislev, that we could overcome all challenges, overcome anything that's standing in our way, any obstacle that might be in our way, and just overcome it and be successful.
Chaim, Chaim. There are many sikhs of the Rebbe, more than I name on the quote that the Alter Rebbe mentioned, specifically in his letter to Rabbi Yisrael Baditchever, that the time that he was released from prison was precisely the moment when he said the pasuk in Tehillim, Hoda v'shalom nafshi, Ibrahim hoya amadi. That's exactly when I was told, and actually, it's exactly the time I was released. Chassidus explains that that it's important to know that that's when one has to make shalom, has to make peace, and peace can only be done when there's an opposition, when there's an opponent. You can't have peace with no opponent. It doesn't apply to it. That wouldn't make sense to say I made peace with there's no opponent and there's no opposition. When there's an opponent and an opposition, then you can say that we united, we're in peace, we agree, we're one now. So the Rebbe says, as the Rebbe always concludes, what's the lesson to us? What do we learn from this? The fact that the Alter Rebbe went out of prison and keeps on repeating this in different letters, that was the moment he was taken out of prison. So the Rebbe says, there's a lesson for each one of us today. The year 2016, it's an important and powerful lesson for us. Because the question may be that we all ask ourselves is, why make peace? We all have a Yetzer Hara, and we all have a Yetzer Tov, and we're looking for the Geula, our personal Geula, to be redeemed, to go out of Golus, out of the challenges. But the person may ask, why do I have to make peace? What does it mean? I'll let you live, and then I'll let you live. The Yetzer Tov says, Yetzer Hara says to Yetzer Tov, what do you want to do? You want to daven in the morning? Go ahead. You want to learn Chassidus? Go ahead. You want to get stuck at daven baveda? Not a problem. I won't interrupt. I won't interfere. But when you're done, let me go out and do my business. Don't mix into how I deal business. I'm going to go out in the world, and I have to deal with the challenges of the world. I didn't decide that I have to work for a living. God said so, right? You agree? Yes. So don't you think I should learn the trade, mingle, go out, entertain, do what everybody does? Don't mix into what I'm doing. I won't interfere with your life. You don't interfere with my life. So why even make peace? What's the point? Why can't I live like that? I have to be united with you? What's wrong with living a life like that? Stop and learn. You know what? When you come home, go back to shul, have a share, do what you want.
I don't think the HR takes vacations during Davening.
Oh, he does when he has to benefit.
That's-
When you're done.
If he would give that as a deal,
Yeah,
he would be
he'll
so
get-
happy.
So the question is, the Rebbe says that this is a question that we all have. We all have, says the Alter Rebbe. So, you want to go out of Golus, your personal Golus, there has to be united, there has to be peace. There cannot be such a thing. It doesn't exist that you're gonna let the Yetzer Hara do what he wants on his own and think that he's not gonna interfere with your, in fact, the more you let him go on his own, the bigger he becomes, the worse he becomes. And on the other hand, the Yetzer Hara didn't come down in this world to be elevated. Doesn't need any correction, doesn't need any repairs. It was perfect. If in learning and davening and this, it could have done that up there in Gan Eden. Why even come down? I came down there so I can go to shul to learn and daven. I could have done that to say it upstairs. Why did Hashem send down the neshama? Not to elevate the neshama. To go down to the body and elevate the body.
A place here for Hashem.
To have the body work together with you. To ultimately, the Rebbe says, it says, we say in Krishma, "V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha." Not that, okay, I got him dormant, I got him quiet, he's not going to say a word, that's not good enough. When I serve Hashem, I need both of us to serve Hashem. I need both of us, b'chol levavcha, with both your hearts, your Yetzer Tov and your Yetzer Hara, should both be in coincide and both be serving Hashem at the same time. And then and only then can one go out of his galus. And that's the message that Rebbe says that the Alter Rebbe was trying to tell us. That the same way I went out of galus, my galus, when there was ultimately a peace made between the opposition, not just a peace that he won't interfere, a peace that we coincide, that we do things together, and then we unite. Every single person will have his peace, his geula, when you reach that level. So Rebbe says that we find an interesting the event and something not understood in the whole entire event of the Alter Rebbe's release. Here the Alter Rebbe says, I yotze b'shalom, I went out with Hashem b'shalom, and I went out of prison, and as we all know that the Baal Shem Tov and Mr. Chamaki came to visit. In fact, the Frierdiker Rebbe was once in Petersburg, and when he came back, his father asked him how big it was the cell, and would it be possible that 3 people can actually stand in that cell? He asked the Frierdiker Rebbe. Why? Because that means that when they came to visit, they came as humans, and they not like souls coming down from heaven. There were 3 human beings standing there, and the Rebbe Rashab wanted to know: is it a big cell? Is it enough? What?
He sent people
It doesn't look
check.
I don't know. I'm just telling you that there's what?
Also,
They
Brandy
said that they
was.
sent people to check if exactly fit
Exactly what?
3 people.
Exactly 3 people.
It's burned down.
So after all this, they finally, when he was being released, as we know, there were no Hasidim who were at that time standing outside and demonstrating. There was, first of all, the Alter Rebbe said that none of the Hasidim should even attempt to come to the city of Petersburg, where he was arrested. Some say that because the theories, I'm not 100% sure, but there was a chassid, his name was Michal Apotsker, who was capable, if he were to come, he would by his davening, burn the whole cell down. So he didn't want that. The Alter Rebbe did not want that. In fact, the first thing the Alter Rebbe did was he told one of the chassidim he sent him immediately to the Rabbi Yitzchak Barditcheva to give him opinion and tell him daven for me. So when he came running to the Rabbi Yitzchak Barditcheva and he said to him, they arrested the Alter Rebbe, he's in Petersburg. The Rabbi Yitzchak Barditcheva sat there and he says, he had a pipe on the table, his pipe. He says, with 2 puffs on my pipe, I burned down the entire Petersburg. You know that. So we can take care of things right here, right now. And where is he? You know. So he said, no. I don't think that's what the Alter Rebbe wants. So, but this is up. He says, no, don't do it. And the conversation they had between us, so he said, okay, I'll do it your way. Give me a opinion, I'll daven. And then we didn't know the mother's name. Anyway, the bottom line was there was nobody there. So the guard said, where would you like for us to take you? And there was one chassid who had permission to live in Petersburg. At that time, one was not allowed to live in the capital city because
Being a Jew.
a Jew was not allowed to live unless you had business, an official business, or you would work for the government, or some sort of document saying
So who made for the
that you had permission to live there.
food? So
Huh?
who made for the
The
food?
rich kid.
Wait, what?
Who made for the Rebbe the food?
This one chassid. It's actually the Rebbe's brother-in-law. The Alter Rebbe's brother-in-law. The Alter Rebbe's brother-in-law came. Yeah, the Alter Rebbe's brother-in-law, his wife's brother. And he came running. He didn't have a passport, so he grabbed somebody else's passport. It's a whole story. If you read the story, that he came there and the Alter Rebbe said that if you get me food, you'll meet this person walking in the street, and he's Mr. So-and-so, and he described what he looked like. And he figured that he's wearing the same clothes when I told him to go, because he wouldn't stop at home to pack a bag. He ran, but he didn't have a passport with him, so he grabbed somebody else's passport. So now, when the captain came and asked him, are you Mr. So-and-so? He didn't want to say it because he didn't have his right passport. He thought he'd get caught with it. So there's a long story how it eventually came back to the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe says, no, he's Mr. Don't worry. And the officer said to him, I know you're lying. You're not Mr. So-and-so. So getting back to the question the Alter Rebbe says, so they asked the Alter Rebbe, where would you like for us to take you? And the Alter Rebbe had a chassid, Mordechai Lepler, who lived in Petersburg, who had an official document to live there. He's in this new address, please take me there. And the story goes that he took him to that house,
That
however...
wasn't the guy giving food?
I'm sorry? He's not the same person, no. The person who gave him food was Alter Rebbe's brother-in-law. And accidentally, they took him to the wrong apartment, which was the apartment of a Messiah.
No, that's Mordechai was one to get food.
What?
The Mordechai was one to get food. That's how you know who to.
In one of the Rishimas, the Rebbe explained,
That's
but the
right.
Rishimas, the Rebbe explained, we could think that there was nothing a mistake over here. They arrest him and and all of a sudden when he comes to the Misnagid house, you said, oh, it's a mistake, they take him to the Misnagid house.
That's the question.
The
The
same
Rebbe
house,
explained
different floor.
it's not a mistake.
Oh, so
A Farbrengen begins by a Misnagid home. That's why the Rebbe said he gave him a cup of tea and he told the Hasidim not to punch him, not to do anything. He said, we begin here, but then we go in different
So
places.
this is the
Beginning
sikha that the
here.
Rebbe says. That is, the Rebbe
That's
says
the
in
answer,
sikha.
Menachem, the
No,
question
that's a
goes.
Rishima, but
in
there's a sikha. What the Rebbe said explains.
the question.
The question
goes in
is
the-
that
that's a-
after all this, and after the decree came off and all that, they actually delivered the Alter Rebbe to the wrong apartment, where later on the Alter Rebbe said that I suffered more sitting the few hours with the Misnagid than I did my entire stay. So it doesn't make
53
sense.
days with this, yeah.
It doesn't make sense. How can something like this happen? I mean, it's not something coincidence. So, and as Menachem mentioned, the first thing he did, he honored the Alter Rebbe with a cup of tea, and then later on started shouting and on and on and on and insults. And as they were leaving, the Hasidim said, where did they take him? Where did they take him? They found out, and they heard screaming, so they broke the door down and they went in. And as they were leaving, the Alter Rebbe said, wait, I have to finish the tea because I just want to honor my host. So the Rebbe says it doesn't. So the Rebbe said just the opposite. Here it brings out that the unity wouldn't start in the chassid. That was not a challenge to make shalom with a chassid. The unity is that when you leave, you go straight to a masnagid. That shows unity. The masnagid wasn't ready. It takes a little while for things to warm up, to kick in. But the Rebbe says, the Rebbe says in Sikha, who was the first one who honored the Alter Rebbe and to celebrate his release was a masnagid. He was the first one who served the Alter Rebbe,
He gave him a cup of tea.
gave him a cup of tea, welcoming him and celebrating, in a sense, the release and the Geula of Yutas Kislev. And just to the contrary, here shows the unity, and this is where, if anything, it influenced the Misnagid, was worth the whole thing. Because the purpose wasn't to influence on a Chassid, it was to influence the Misnagid. The Chaim, we have to influence our Misnagid. Misnagid that's found, we have sometimes a little Misnagid. Some call, we wouldn't call it Yitzhahara, Chas v'shalom, we don't have a Yitzhahara. We wouldn't call it this, and we're not capable of that. We have a little Misnagid hanging around in our midst. A Misnagidl, what's a Misnagidl? Misnagidl was somebody who's a story I once told here in the shul, that there was a chassid who, this is still in times from the Alter Rebbe, and he came into a city and they wanted to make sure is he a chassid, not a chassid, was Misnagid, but they didn't want to ask him point blank, are you a chassid, not a chassid? So they asked him, one of the older members said to him, what do you think about these, this new group called themselves Chassidim? What's your opinion about them? He said, all they do is think about themselves all day. Very little about God. Only think about themselves. Okay, so fine, come in. So you must be one of us, one of the Misnagdim. Anyway, so of course he's a chassid, and he's done. They give him, they honor him, they give him aliyah, they sit him on the kiddush. He was about to leave, and before he leaves, the older chassid said, you mentioned that elaborate on it a little bit. What do you mean that they think about themselves? What did you mean by that? He was just about to leave. He was standing by the door, and he says, I'll explain it to you. He says, a chassid knows for sure that God is all over, God's presence. And everything is run by God, and there's not a thing that doesn't happen to Hashem. The question is, am I even here? How do I exist? That's the question.
Am I really existing?
How is it possible if everything is Hashem and that I even have a say or a thing? Do I exist? So a chassid the whole day is thinking, does he exist or not? But he knows for sure Hashem exists. Misnagid knows for sure that he exists. He has to get proof from somewhere in the Torah that maybe there's Hashem that also exists. And he said that and ran out and slammed the door. Okay, of course we know that so Misnagid has a totally different, they say, Misnagid or Sheshiva, how does he prepare a shir? Oh, so the Misnagid or Sheshiva, they don't sleep with the yarmulke because they're afraid
They don't?
What?
No, not doctor.
Oh, come
No,
on.
you know why they don't sleep with you don't sleep with
I don't know.
you don't sleep with the
I don't know why. I don't know
yarmulke?
why.
Because they're
Exactly
afraid
right.
they're afraid the yarmulke is gonna fall into the Negelwasser.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So if the yarmulke is gonna fall into the Negelwasser.
I don't put Negelwasser in the bed.
Oh, but the problem is they don't have Negelwasser next to their bed. So what's the problem? So why don't there's so there was he doesn't have Negelwasser next to their bed. So this Misnagdish Rosh Yeshiva was one of the Gadol Adors. Woke up early morning and no yarmulke, no Negelwasser, because he didn't want his yarmulke to fall with the Negelwasser in case. And he runs into the bathroom, and he's standing there and says, now I understand that Tosis. Now I understand that I have a lecture for today, I have a good share for today. And he's standing there, that's a Misnagid. Question is there a God here? Is there Hashem here? I mean, the whole thing is like a mistake. He knows he exists, but does Hashem exist as well? That's what came to Baal Shem Tov, and Baal Shem Tov blew into us and opened our eyes to see that Hashem is here. Not only Hashem is here. The question is, are we here? The question is, why are we here? And what's the purpose? And that's what Yitzhak Kislev is. Yitzhak Kislev is, we should all learn Chassidus. And Tanya, as mentioned in Tanya, my brother said Tanya is such a powerful, powerful sefer that just saying the words every single day brings brachas and brings blessings and everything we need and helps us in every way and changes us as a person. The story I mentioned here before was with a story with my wife's great uncle, Zalman Garari, that he once went to the airport, and when he came to the airport, his flight was either canceled or delayed for a long time, for like 12 hours later. And he thought about going back home, but he was a strong believer in Tzavos and Rabbi Yehuda Chassid and different mystical concepts, and one of them is that if you leave and forget something, don't go back home. So he didn't know, should I go back home, should I not go back home? So from the airport, he called Rabbi Groner. He says, ask the Rebbe, what should I do? Can I go back home, or should I sit in the airport for 12, 13 hours? So the Rebbe told Rabbi Groner to tell him that he should learn a Perek Tanya, and after you learn a Perek Tanya, you can go home. This is why? Because after you learn a Perek Tanya, you're a different person, you're a changed person, so it's not the same person that left. So now you learn a Perek Tanya, you're okay, you can go back. And it's not something that was a joke, the Rebbe meant it seriously. The Rebbe meant it seriously. Sit down, learn a Perek Tanya, and you are now a different person. You're an elevated person, you're a changed person. You're not the same person that you knew yourself before you learned the Perek Tanya. Imagine you do that every single day. Every single day, you're a different person. They won't recognize you. You come at home and just, excuse me, I learned the Perek Tanya. You elevate yourself, you refine yourself as a person, as a chassid. You become able, you become more sensitive to spiritual concepts, to Chof Farbrengen. It's to davening a little bit more feeling. All these things it warms up your heart. And this is just saying Tanya every single day, say a Tanya and a little bit more, another line and another line. And that's how we become Hasidim. L'chaim, Chof Kislev is a time that we take upon ourselves in somewhere, somehow, to learn more Hasidus, and our life should be Hasidus, and that's something that we should live with and talk about and live with and talk about again and again until we bring down Mashiach.
So we light up the
The
world.
same is not it, another, a little bit later, wake up in the morning, stir. You can't live.
Underwater, underground, under deep sea diving, in order to dive for pearls. It's the same exact thing. He has to follow instructions from the one in charge, where to go, how to go, and at the same time, he has to have his own air tank. This is what the Friedrich Rebbe says. What's the message for us? Zagel Chaim, and then you could talk.
Emes is a sich from Rebbe Marash. As I learned the Maimer. Rebbe Marash, when you go into a diving bell, I said, Rebbe Marash,
Rebbe explains the Sikh of the Friedrich Rebbe.
Also, Rebbe Marash talks about.
Fine, but I'm telling you Sikh of the Rebbe. I'm telling you Rebbe
Fine,
Marash.
all right. Rebbe Marash talks about. Going in a
Why
diving
the
bell.
Chassidim gewusst של השירים הפרספנים? They couldn't tell.
So, Paul, the Rebbe explains in short. Here in short, we're saying in shorthand. Common denominator, they both have to listen
Careful.
and follow instructions. The common denominator, they both have to have their own
On air.
their own air.
The Marash has.
What's the message for a chassid? A chassid has to follow instructions of the Rebbe. Follow exact instructions of the Rebbe. Who actually goes out and does the legwork, who has to have his own air tank, is every single chassid. You're on your own. The Rebbe will guide you and direct you how to do it, but you're on your own, and you will find.
Spanish from publishers.
Now, what's the difference between coal?
Yeah, Spanish from
And
publishers.
pearls. So the Rebbe says, coal, what is coal? What do you do with coal?
Exactly.
Coal is you light up,
Yeah.
you heat up the house, being light, warmth in the house. And diamonds or pearls is basically to beautify a person, like jewelry. So this is what the Rebbe says, saying the Simcha Tefillah Rebbe, this is the idea of Chassidus. Chassidus is when we find ourselves in such a dark gullis. So the Baal Shem Tov came and brought out this new teachings of Chassidus. What is Chassidus coming to tell us? It's not a new Torah, a new concept. What it is when we come into a room, into a dark room, we have no idea what's in the room. It looks like for budget, it looks like for bludgeon, it looks like you're gonna fall over. But if you put a little light or a lot of light, automatically you see there's tables, there's chairs, there's furniture, there's this and that. This is what Chassidus accomplishes. But when we find ourselves in this dark gullus, and the gullus is so dark that you think to yourself, where am I going? What am I doing here? So by learning the words of Chassidus, the Sichas of Maimonim, or just saying the words like my brother was saying, just saying the words will light up our path and what we have to accomplish, what the Eibusha wants us to do in this physical world. That's one part of idea of Chassidus. A second part is because, why is it so dark? Because we find ourselves now in the last moments of Golus, and we're preparing for the immediate Geula. So just like a person gets ready for a wedding, has to dress in the nicest of clothing and jewelry and everything, so on and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the idea of Chassidus, which accomplishes these two things. Number one, it guides us, it shows us the path, lights up where we're going.
I would not.
And number two, it beautifies our clothing, that we're ready, willing, and able to greet the Mashiach immediately now. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Amen.
What?
Celebration.
L'chaim, l'chaim. This is where we can start, and in honor of Chof Kislev is by saying words, starting saying words of Baruch Hashem, with Be'ezus Hashem, Yemirtz Hashem, and then saying words of Tanya, saying words of Maimonim. Like the Tzemach Tzedek one time, he asked a chassid, do you want to learn Tanya? So chassid said, of course. So he came to learn with the Tzemach Tzedek. Every single, whatever they made up, the Tzemach Tzedek just said the words and just translated the words. No explanation, said the words and translated the words. And then one chapter, second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. To finally, chassid decided, why am I wasting Tzemach Tzedek's time? I mean, I know the translation. I mean, he's not going to give me an explanation, so he stopped coming. Then later, when he went to Yechidus, the Tzemach Tzedek asked him, why did you stop coming? He says, you know, with all due respect, I didn't want to waste his time. So the Tzemach Tzedek told him, this is how I learned Tanya with my grandfather. First thing he did, just said the words. Just say the words. And the second time, he just translated the words. And then the third time, then he started explaining the words.
Today's time is one of the hardest.
So Chaim, we have to say the words.
So he said, okay, so let's do it again.
So the guy said, okay, let's do it again. He says, no, it's too late. Chaim.
Schwein verfaulen. Schwein verfaulen.
Say that's a shame.
Tomorrow morning, yep, same place, same time.
This is what we get the kaiches of Chof Kislev. We get the kaiches to overcome all challenges. Because this world is full of challenges. And therefore, the idea of Chassidus is to bring light, that it's only a facade, it's a hell and a hester. All these challenges, only a hell and a hester. And we can overcome all these challenges. And the goal in life is that we should focus on what we should be saying and doing. Like this famous story, a few famous stories. One story is there's a person asks the Rebbe for a blessing that his operation should be successful. And the Rebbe turns to the Rebbe Gaon and tells him, a person can ask, I should need an operation. What is he asking? That the operation should be successive. You have to be focused on the big picture. We shouldn't need operation. We shouldn't have to go through all these challenges. Another story is, a sheikh wrote to the Rebbe that he's not well, and therefore he's asking the Rebbe for bracha that he's going to have to leave because he's not well. So the Rebbe also again said, I understand. You can ask for bracha that he should have a complete recovery. He should have a full shleima, continuous work with full kaiches and strength, and so on and so forth. What is he saying? I'm leaving because I'm not well. So you want to stay sick? Chas v'shalom. This is what we have to realize. What we have to be focused, that we have to be gesund, and we have the koiches to be gesund. We have to demand gesund. We have to demand panasa. We have to demand nachas. We have to demand to overcome all challenges that stand in our way, and that we should be successful with gashmis and ruchnis and bala chayim and zenu kulam b'richa. Those are the brachas for shidduchim or children, nachas for children, or harchava. We should see the blessing you meet in our life.
Amen. We should learn Chassidus and it should impact us every day. It's an old Russian song.
Famous stories of the Alter Rebbe is with this famous chassid, famous communal leader of Vilna. His name is Amir Falls. One of his stories is how he became a chassid. The story goes that number one, he was extremely learned person, because in Vilna you have to be a learned person.
Like an Israel. They
should look at this. Number two, he was extremely wealthy. So that's why he was a communal leader. And people used to ask and talk to him different ideas, different advice, business. And what happened was, in Vilna, they had a custom, if guests came, they used to divide the guests if they need a place for Shabbos to stay, to eat. And they placed the different people, and there's two business people, partners, where they got in trouble with the law, and the whole Shabbos they were like sort of krachting, sighing, and they had at their table these guests. Nobody knew that this guest was a chassid from the Alter Rebbe, and he was talking, boom, he was just pounding away about what a Rebbe is. What a Rebbe is. You want a bracha, you have to ask a bracha from a Rebbe. You want to be able to overcome all challenges, you have to connect to a Rebbe. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. They did not know what to make out of it. How could they go to the Alter Rebbe, which this person was referring to, they have the Vilna Gaon, which is against the Alter Rebbe. So after Shabbos, they decided to consult with Rabbi Mendel Lerman. And they went to Rabbi Mendel Lerman, and they asked Rabbi Mendel Lerman
Use the Russian. Das Torah.
That's it.
Right, das Torah, yeah.
What to do. What should they do? They're in trouble. They're in a pickle. They need help. So he told them, listen here. I recently had an experience with the Alter Rebbe, and my gut feeling is you should check him out and report to me what happened. What was his story? The story recently was that there's a lady came to his house, and she told him the Alter Rebbe sent her to him.
Who said it?
These two business people. So the Mendel Lerman is telling them the story that he had just experienced a few weeks earlier, that there's a lady shows up at his door. He says that the Alter Rebbe sent her to him, that he is able to find where her husband just walked out half a year ago. So he looks at this lady and says, listen here, I don't know the Alter Rebbe. I don't know who you are. He's probably just wanted to get rid of you. That's why he told you to come here. She started screaming, the Alter Rebbe doesn't tell people just to get rid of people. He told me to come here because you're going to find my husband and I'm not leaving you. So he tells his wife, okay, we'll have to take her in for a couple of days till we see a way how to get rid of her. In the meantime, this was Friday, right after Shabbos, Sunday, Monday. The chief of police used to contact Rabbi Mendel Lerman anytime there was Jewish prisoners arrested or traveling or being transferred from one place to another place. So they contacted Rabbi Mendel Lerman that there's a group of Jewish prisoners, and if he wants to come and see if he could get them out. So he went there to see if he could get them out, and boom, one prisoner fits the exact description of this lady. So he goes back home and asks this lady, tell me exactly, tell me again what your husband looks like, this and that. And they found out that that's her husband, and he got the husband released, and he arranged that she give a gift. So that was one story that he experienced the first time he had any experience with Alter Rebbe. So he didn't know it was just a coincidence. Did he really want to get rid of this lady? He sent this lady to him, or he really, because he knew that. So he told these business people that go to the Alter Rebbe and report to me what happened. So they go to the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe asks them. It says, the quote in Talmud, "Machusa da'ara ke'ei machusa d'rekia." Machusa da'ara means the physical king is similar to the godly king. So the Alter Rebbe says, how does it make sense? How could you compare a physical king to a godly king? They don't know what to answer. So the Alter Rebbe tells them, it's just like a physical king. You don't call him by his personal name, hey, John, Jack, just like Pari. All the Paris for hundreds of years, you call him King Pari. Or did they all have the same name? No. But this is like a surname, what you call all these kings. The same thing, just like a physical king, you don't call them by a personal name. Same thing, Dave, so you don't call him by a personal name. He's some God, but that's not his personal name. And he basically says, okay, have a good day. And they left. And they were wondering, why do we waste our time? Telling us, giving us an explanation on a quote in the Talmud. I mean, we came to ask him for advice, for help, and this person told us the greatness of the Alter Rebbe, and over here, they didn't see anything. So they went back, they went to St. Petersburg, and they found out that the Minister of Business of Finance, he might help them out. And the Minister of Finance is a special park only for ministers, and if you bribe the guard, you can get in and you could beg him, he should help you out, and he should
Address your issue.
say something good on your case, on your behalf. So that's what they did. And they see this minister, they come running to him, falling to his feet, begging, please, we didn't do anything wrong, we're accused of doing this and this and this wrong. Please, they ask, please, if you can help us out. So he tells them, I'm sorry, but I'm not the Minister of Finance, I'm the Minister of Education. They heard the Minister of Education, they picked themselves up and started running as fast as possible, because if they were caught with it, that in itself is, you could deserve jail time just for being in that park. But he stopped, he started calling guards, stop him, and everybody started running. Finally caught them. And he calls him up and he says, listen, I'm Minister of Education. The Tsar asked me a question. He gave me 3 days to answer. And I don't have the answer. And if I don't get the answer, I might be short a head. So if you can help me, I'll help you. So he says, okay, what's the question? He asked me, what does it mean that there's a quote in the Talmud, that the physical king is similar to the godly king. So immediately, without blinking an eye, they gave him the explanation of the Alter Rebbe. And he said, bravo, bravo. He was very happy. He says, I'm going to help you guys. He came back to the minister, to the Tsar, told the Tsar accepted the answer, and everybody's happy. And he came to the case. He made sure to talk to the judge to throw out the case. And the case was thrown out. And then from St. Petersburg, they went to Vilna. They told him the false what had happened. That originally when they went to the Alter Rebbe, gave an explanation. They had no idea that this is a blessing in disguise, and they were very upset. And Lupal, they say he's the real deal. So these two, together with Rabbi Falls, went and traveled to the Alter Rebbe for the first time. They all became chassidim of the Alter Rebbe. Even after he became chassid of the Alter Rebbe, he became an open chassid of the Alter Rebbe. He still continued being a communal leader in Vilna because they couldn't do anything to him, because he was extremely knowledgeable, extremely wealthy, extremely powerful, and that was a done deal. So Chaim,
Hey, you cannot stop here. What happened later?
I'll leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to you.
No, you have to continue.
Which one?
But by the end of his life, of his life.
Because this is a
Had er
shikha.
altijd maar genoeg, ik wil het zeggen.
Okay, we'll just finish off with what Shmulik wants to hear. So, before he passed away,
Hear the story?
he was on his deathbed, and Misnagdim came to him and says, Chazor bach, you have last few seconds, last few minutes of your life to regret what you did, that you became a chassid. And he told him, confess that you made a mistake, and that you went to the Alter Rebbe. So he told him, tell him to kiss.
Who in
Really that Russian?
I heard from Michal a few times, all different people. Yeah, she can't even, oh, God.
Wat is gezegd?
That's the Russian?
And the Chassidus said, this is Mrs. Nishikin. In any case,
What's his name?
the Meir Falls. The Meir Falls was a
Do we know if he has any descendants afterward? Like I'm saying, is it a family that's known out in the last
This
year?
is door poor zilverne Sachen von der Rebbe sehen. Ich kenne so viele von Alter Rebbe, ist da in Dakota. Shivanan's a Schwager, is a Shliach. Wo ist der Shliach? Herman. In South Dakota?
Carolina.
Where?
Carolina?
Yeah.
Ich hatte aber Labos dort, und sie ist mit seiner Tochter, Einiko von Schmuggler. Und hat sich Schmische, Dusche, Silber, Tabak wachsen. Das war ein bisschen die geben Schmuggler mit der. Das werden sie einfach gesagt.
And the Sheikh So in any case,
Nicht gewollt geben zum Reben.
so in any case, it says that. So, it says that the whole base in Neman, that Rabbeim Tzaddikim are trustworthy in my whole house. In other words, they see everything, they know everything, but they don't say anything. They will hint us, they will give you guidance, and will hint you, you know, this is the right thing to do. But they're not going to tell you, if you do this, that's a...
Horrible story with the Holocaust thing, with the sheep, with the Rebbe, the father, should go to Israel, shouldn't go to Israel, whatever. So, come at the time I talk, how could you not tell me they're going to lose my only begotten? So what the figure was that? It's not, that's not my job.
It's like, or on the other hand, the Rebbe officially, the Rebbetzin was supposed to go on the last boat out of Europe, and last minute they got a telegram like a half hour now before they're supposed to board, don't go. So they didn't go.
Who told them?
The Rebbe sent the telegram. So they didn't go. You could think this is the last boat, you know, how many Paul, that boat sunk, and they were able, eventually they were able to get into another boat, and that's how they came to America. So, and when a Rebbe says something, it's not saying it because it's inconvenient any chassid, just the opposite. There's a famous story which was printed many years ago. We said it many years ago, but it's so powerful and applies to us today more than ever. There's one of the richest religious Jews in Brazil. I think it's Belzer Chassid or something like that. And the way he became so wealthy was that he used to live in Montreal. He basically had a electronics store, basically like electronics store, a small store, and it was a mom and pop store, and he wasn't able to make ends meet, and then he started, you know, his debt started climbing up and up and up, and he heard that the Rebbe gives out dollars every single Sunday, gives blessings. He decided that he's going to drive in from Montreal, and he's gonna come to the Rebbe. And after the Fabracha, drives in from Montreal with his kids, and comes like an hour after the Rebbe finished giving dollars.
Finished.
Yeah. He was ticked off like anything. I drove in all this time.
7-hour drive. This is not our drive.
Right, and he's planning to drive right back as soon as he gets the dollars. So he never got the dollars. So people saw that he was, you know, suddenly huffing and puffing, and he was very upset. And he asked him what's going on. So they told him, and they told him that they could stay when the Rebbe davens Ma'ariv, and when the Rebbe comes out, when the Rebbe goes to daven, so the Rebbe gives coins to kids. So at least the kids. So the Rebbe came out, and the Rebbe gave coins to kids, and he said, "I'm also a kid." So the Rebbe also gave him a coin, put him to Zuckerberg. And then he asked around, like, what exact time does the Rebbe give dollars? So next time he wants to come, he should make it on time. So he drove back to Montreal, decided, okay, he's going to plan his trip. Next time he's going to plan his trip, he's going to leave early. He's going to have time, he's not going to miss dollars. So he goes to next time he comes on time, comes with his kids, and he asks the Rebbe a bracha, I want to become a very wealthy man.
Cool.
So the Rebbe gives him another $1, and the Rebbe tells him he should become very wealthy.
That's like there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Goes back to Montreal. Okay. The question is, how could he become very wealthy? And you know, he's looking, searching, thinking about this business, about that business, till finally one day, like a few months later, half a year later,
Mindful.
this is a guy from Brazil, ends up in Montreal, and goes into the store, looks around, and he tells him, you know, I live in Brazil, and I'd like to import, you know, that time Panasonic was very hot.
Wait, what?
Panasonic items, whatever they sell, whatever they manufacture. I have no idea, I don't know anything about the electronic business, but you're in the business, let's go into partnership, and 50-50. I'll
I'll
put up the money, and you do the business, you'll buy and sell. So it says, okay, deal. Obviously, the Rebbe gave him a bracha for great wealth. That's his only way out. He could see that he'll become very wealthy. So what he did was, he sold everything he had, paid up all his debt, and moved to Brazil.
And we will.
Moved to Brazil.
The pedestal.
But the parents moved to Brazil. Because the Rebbe said, because the Rebbe gave him a bracha, he will be wealthy. That's it. The Rebbe said, that's it. He's doing. Goes to Brazil. And
No, to what a Portuguese, nothing.
nothing. And comes to Brazil, and his deal, his partnership didn't fizzle out.
For what?
Did not.
Didn't what?
Did not work out. Did not work out. Whatever reason, didn't work out. So it didn't work out. I don't know if you ever checked into this guy, if he really has money, if he doesn't have money. But on his words and the Rebbe's brachas, that's what he did. That's what he did. So he's in Brazil. What is he supposed to do now?
No pennies.
He decided, he knew one thing. He does not want to work for a boss. He wants to be his own boss. So he started going from shul to shul and talking to people, different business people, different ideas, advice, business, what he could do, how he could start, and to try to put things together. And 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks go by, 8 weeks go by, and nothing doing. So he decided, that's it, basically he's penniless. He's in a foreign country. The whole family just picked themselves up, uprooted from their family and everything. He wrote to them, said, listen here, I'm here because
He wrote to the Rebbe.
yeah. I'm asking for a bracha. I'm here. I need a bracha. So, number one, the Rebbe told him to check the tefillin mezuzahs. Number two, the Rebbe told him katzas yedid in mevinim, like advice of friends. And number three, the Rebbe told him, the Rebbe gave him a bracha. So he says, number one, when I moved to Brazil, I bought new mezuzahs. And they would check, so I don't have to check it again. Number two, to seek advice of friends, that's what I'm doing all day. All day I'm running off, one guy for everything. And then I was bracha, okay, I'm ready for the bracha. Another 4 weeks go by, and by this time he's just, he feels like he's up a creek, or even more than that. What happened was, every single Matzah Shabbos, he made sure to have a malka with his family. And we wanted to make some potatoes, and the stove didn't go on. So those days, I don't know if they still have it, in the back of the house, they had this gas tank that they had to refill every month, 2 months. And that fed the gas tank in the house. So he thought maybe they ran out of gas. He couldn't believe they ran out of gas, or maybe there's maybe somebody closed it by mistake. He goes to the outhouse in the back, and he comes back a few minutes later, white like a ghost. And he has a mezuzah in his hand. He says, I see why we're stuck. Because a few weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, he wrote to the Rebbe to check the tefillin mezuzahs. And he, as a big guy, knows that he has checked all the tefillin mezuzahs. But he didn't bother going around in the outhouse, in the back of the house. So it's like a closet, whatever. He had a mezuzah over there, and the mezuzah was on the floor. He went to check the gas tank, and he finds the mezuzah on the floor.
Never.
So he says at the meal, he told his family that I'm taking a chalata tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning. I'm going to take off all the mezuzahs and the tefillin and check, and do exactly what the Rebbe said, to check the tefillin mezuzahs.
He was a bells of this guy.
Yeah, that's what he did. He went next morning, first thing in the morning, he took it off, and then he went to shul and he gave it to the sefer. And after davening, there's a business person that he met already so many times, or one of the people says, I thought of a good idea. Maybe we should get together for lunch. And they got together for lunch, and then one thing led to another thing. and he eventually became, from that day on, they were they worked out some kind of a deal, some business, something, and he became, I don't know if today, or he's then one of the wealthiest Orthodox Jews in Brazil. They say his name is on all the Chabad houses because he supports all the Chabad houses, because he knows that all the brachas are from the Rebbe.
So the brocha and the cassette I have.
The bracha what?
The brocha for Shiras I have. That's on video.
No.
How are you cashing into it? Maybe I should go partnership with you something?
I don't know, but you have to see what the Rebbe told you to do. What the Rebbe told you to do.
Did you ask for that, by the way?
Rabbi Kanelski asked.
For a shares?
It was,
Nice.
I was a son by him.
No.
So the Rebbe said, yeah, this was the 2 lines, whatever, yeah, Shiras.
The Rebbe said, yeah, you're good.
Lovely, yeah. And
Rabbi
then
Mendel Lerman.
he told my wife that you're going to help him with, you know.
And no, so what did I tell you to do?
He didn't tell me nothing.
Oh, he didn't tell
told
you?
me to get rich.
Rich already.
No, so are you?
So Baruch Hashem, I'm rich with kids.
You didn't ask for a routing number?
Huh?
You didn't ask for a routing number?
Checking account.
You gotta check his
No
connection.
USB slot, no
You
nothing.
gotta check the connection then.
Anyway,
The
so,
Wi-Fi connection.
well,
You have to check the Wi-Fi
Chaim,
connection.
Chaim, Chaim.
Chaim.
Alle wacht, maak maar zelf volgen.
maybe
Bottom line
instead
is-
of a .com, there's a psik com.
The the bottom line is, as we said before, we have to say the words. We have to take action.
Perek time.
We have to have the gas tank, the air tank with us at all times. We have to breathe on our own. And the Rebbe wants us. It's not like, it's known that the Alter Rebbe wanted the difference between the Chabad Chassidus and the other Chassidus is the Chabad Chassidus who want and demand every single Chassid to work on his own, to accomplish his own. Other Chassidim, like for example, Rabbi Shlomo Kalina which was arguing with the Alter Rebbe, he agreed with the Alter Rebbe certain things, but certain things he said absolutely not, that tzaddik b'emunah yichya, that it's good for his Chassidim just to connect to the tzaddik, and the tzaddik will make sure that everything goes good. Everything they should have what they need. They make compartments with the business people, compartments with the tzaddik, and the tzaddik takes care of their business. Tzaddik makes sure everything's okay. But Chabad and the Alter Rebbe and all the Rebbe said, no. We have to do
And
it.
if somebody thought that the Rebbe is a nice man and he's going to go that direction, so right when he took the Messias, he spelled that
He
out.
says, yeah, I'm a nice guy.
Guys.
I'll help you, I'll guide you, I'll direct you. Every way, shape, and
wanna
form.
work for you.
But you gotta do it on your own. Chaim.
Chaim.
And we do it by saying words of Torah. This is what the Alter Rebbe finishes the Tanya with Shabbos. Everything, every single day, you should think about Shabbos. Every single day, every single moment, you should think about it.
It used to be until a few years ago, it was a good excuse not to learn. I don't understand that. It's difficult. It's all those full pages of text with no hyphens and distillations and decimals, and I don't know. I mean, whatever. I would love to, but it's, I would say to you, it's so unexcusable nowadays. You have about 20 ways of learning Daf Yomi with all the possible websites that's explaining it to you, and audio and video and
Sure.
shots in Hebrew and a shot in English and a shot in. If you're thinking I'm based even as a bocher that I was really into Chassidus, but I'm based is French. Also, like all those big pages starting anything to those
They're beautiful
tables, not starting and not finishing.
Sure, Samach Vav,
They came out, I got to there, I have to get it, in Israel, and they sold it for 25 shekel a volume, 8 volumes, explaining Iron Base.
I haven't. I mean, I got it, basically, I'm going through it. It's moeilijk.
Iron Base, which means
Before,
if you're gonna come, I'm gonna ask you, did you learn Iron Base?
Nothing, but it's pretty good, yeah. It's
You
pretty
can't say, no, you don't have to take it, you can learn it.
He doesn't want it on record.
Die Sachen, die...
Iron Base, did you learn Iron Base? You cannot say excuse. I'm sorry, I didn't understand it. Did you learn Derech Tzvisecha? you know, it's the difficult thing. Sorry, there are 4 books explaining the Sechel, Sheshes, the Tefillah, the Sisrol, everything beginning to that. If you want to go general somewhere, you have the Me'adim, because the Torah, not all the Torah, but Me'adim. So there is no excuses left. So we have no choice but what?
Well, Mashiach has to come.
Amen.
No excuses. In other words, there's no excuses. We have to make sure that we make it
You
happen.
agree with me, Rabbi Lerman, that
100%.
30 years ago,
Can you
it
imagine?
was
that-
easier to say, I don't know.
10 years ago it was hard. The Samach
How
Vav
long
used to
Guys
be
used to
so
say,
very
so
hard.
a guy 20 years ago, 100 years ago, the Horvard shots. He had the Horvard all shots
You saw
himself.
the Iron Base
Yeah,
they
no, no,
printed
it's
in the
fun.
80s or in the 70s?
Wait.
You know how small that was? How hard
No,
it was
no,
to
but-
read? So the first
A
one
guy 100 years ago, the Horvard shots. He had 2,000 blood Gemara, he had to Horvard himself. No, but there was none of these, all these farm and articles and those meetings. Rashi Gemara, he had to do it all himself.
Wow,
Again,
yeah.
he's training a friend. Had to do it himself. He had to
Yeah,
do it
but
all
then it
himself.
was a full-time job.
I remember
Today,
I was a Shiva K'tan, it was before Steinzelt started his project. It was a guy in Haifa, a Masorati, he didn't even wear a beard, a gear. Ayid b'shem Shimon ben Shemen. Ben Shemen, that give out any kind, nothing close to Steinzelt, but something about Boba Kama. That's what the Gemara that we learned in first grade. One page was the Gemara, and the other page was a little bit explanations, a little bit of foreshadowing, and a bonish snare. And somebody gave it to me as a gift. One of my, I was put bar mitzvah at the beginning of Shir Aleph. Somebody thought it's cute, you know, something. Give me the value of Boba because I knew that the Shiva was learning Boba. And I brought it to Lud, and that was on my table. And the bonish snare saw it. He didn't think twice. We gave him a patch. What? You came here to learn, or you came to get some shortcuts?
When we were walking, we never asked for articles. We had when he always said Nachlas Moshe. Nachlas Moshe is a sefer, which is what they would get shot sefer. You could take the sefer, and he was tight chased the Gemara too. Nachlas Moshe. You didn't have to do everything lined out like that. You had to go to the sefer Nachlas Moshe to understand what the sefer Gemara is. Yeah.
It's a Sonny Grimberg's uncle.
Nachlas Moshe.
Yeah.
Shmak was Moshe. It's Pshat Gemara. You can say Posh Pshat. You know what I mean?
But money was from Shitas. What are you doing? Wasting your time, killing your ability. You came to Yeshiva to learn how to learn Gemara, and you're wasting it on some.
In other words, you don't want to use your brain. You just want to everything to be food fed.
And nowadays, you know,
Everything is food fed. Everything. That's all. It's also interesting, you know, the Mishnah Salasi.
I love it, man.
came out later, much later.
What? But I just want to tell you, this is not a story you also read recently. So when he finished the Mishnayos, so he went to the Rebbe.
Yeah?
He gave the Rebbe. And the Rebbe told him, I want to do Chumash. So he told Chumash is much more difficult. He says, I can't do it. He said, all right, encourage him to do it. And he decided he can't do it, he's not going to do it. Half a year later, 3/4 of a year later, he got sick.
Passed away?
He says, now I understand what the Rebbe wanted. The Rebbe wanted to give me a bracha
Saved his life.
for Halichas Zam. The Rebbe wanted to give me a bracha.
You're busy for another 25 years.
He wanted to give me a bracha. I should be busy with another 20 years, 25 years in doing the Pirush and the Chumash. But I, as a fool, didn't realize and didn't take the bracha. We shouldn't be fools. No,
He's a businessman, huh?
He was a biker
A
guy,
banker,
also
huh?
a friendship burger, very
But
nice
the
guy,
bottom line
coming
is-
with Hamayra, chatting with the guys, having index cards for every Mishnah to find
And that's just
it was for many, many years, it was not sold in the stores. He was printing it and selling it from his house. After he passed away, his Almona was selling it. So I came to here once to buy a set for myself. It looked much less, it looks much nicer now. It was printed on almost newspaper paper. It was, they were trying to say it.
translated.
They didn't have a publisher. They were doing it themselves. They were. So she showed me. So she showed me the index cards, how it was developed over there. No computer.
Right.
no nothing, the Mishnah, he was fixing, he was erasing with the red pen, with everything.
What was his head? What was his head?
Good, but the good is that we
Then
have
the
to
kids
realize.
like sold the right somebody and they made money.
We have to realize what it's all about. The Rebbeim are giving and giving and giving and giving. And we have to just
Take.
stretch out our hand and do it.
Yom Tov, Yom Tov.
Until the light, other boats.